Let's talk about awesome knitting patterns that were released this January. Rochelle here, and I'm back to share some yarn goodness with y'all today. Okay, so today we're going to talk about knitted garments, knitting accessories, and patterns for the home. So all of these are going to be free patterns, and they're either going to be available as a free download or free on the designer's blog. All right, let's just jump right into it and let's talk about garments. Okay, so the first one we have is the rib sweater dress designed by Lauren Salvage of Knit a Bit, Crochet Away. So this one calls for DK weight yarn, and the bust circumference ranges between 31.5 to 62 inches. And in centimeters, that is 80 to 157. So you will need 2 knitting needle sizes to make this project. You will need a US 5, which is a 3.75 millimeter, and a US 4, which is a 3.5 millimeter. Now this garment has 2 inches or 5 centimeters of positive ease. So keep that in mind when you are making your project and choosing your size. Also, when it comes to the knitting needle sizes that you do, you want to make sure that you base that on your individual gauge, because your gauge and your tension might be different from the designer. So you definitely want to either gauge swatch or, make sure that you're using the correct gauge. All right, so you will need to know a few skills, and those skills include backwards loop cast on, tubular bind off, central double increase, knit 2 together, purl, and slip knit. Now this design is knit top down and flat for the beginning of the yoke, and then it's joined and knit in the round. So you'll have some flat knitting and you'll have some knitting in the round when it comes to this pattern. And I like that the pattern includes instructions on how to make it either a sweater or a dress. So it's like getting 2 patterns in one. Okay, let's jump to our next pattern, and it is the Sugar Frost Knit Cardigan designed by Marley Bird. So this one calls for worsted weight yarn, and the bust circumference ranges between 32.25 to 64.25. And in centimeters, that is 82 to 163. So you will need a US 7 or 4.5 millimeter knitting needle for this project. And this project has between 0 to 2 inches of positive ease or 0 to 5 centimeters. And so you will need to know how to knit, purl, slip 2 together, knit 2 together, and do some seaming. And this project is knit top down, and it features star stitch panels, twisted ribbing edging, optional pockets, and a button band. So there's a lot of different elements to this cardigan that would make it really, really interesting. Okay, so let's jump to our next project. It is the Oh So Soft Pullover designed by Andy Javari for Cascade Yarn. So this one calls for either 1 strand of fingering and 1 strand of lace held together, or 1 strand of worsted weight yarn. And so the bust circumference ranges between 32 to 64 inches, and in centimeters, that's 81.3 to 162.6. So you will need 2 knitting needle sizes for this one. Those include a US 8, which is a 5 millimeter, and a US 9, which is a 5.5 millimeter. And this project has between 2 to 3 inches of positive ease, or in centimeters, that's 5 to 7.6. You will need to simply know how to knit and purl. So if you can knit and you can purl, you've got this project. It is definitely one that you can make. Okay, and also it is knit bottom up with a drop sleeve construction. All right, let's move on. Next we have the Porter Sweater, designed by Asa Bushta for Barocco, and it calls for Aran weight yarn, and the bust circumference ranges between 34 to 70 inches, so it's got a nice size range there. And in centimeters, that's 86.5 to 178. So you will need 2 knitting needle sizes for this project. You will need a US 7, which is a 4.5 millimeter, and a US 9, which is a 5.5 millimeter. And this one has 10 inches of positive ease, and that's 25 centimeters. Now you will need to know how to knit 2 together, make 1 left, make 1 purl left, make 1 right, purl, slip, knit, and wrap and turn short rows. If you've always wanted to try wrap and turn short rows, this is the perfect project for you to practice with. Okay, so it has a seamless top-down raglan construction, and I don't really wear turtlenecks, but I would definitely wear this sweater for sure. Let me know, are you a turtleneck person or not? Okay, next up we have the Snowdrop Sweater designed by Abby Mycroft of Utopia Crafts. So this one calls for bulky weight yarn, and the bust circumference ranges between 35 to 67 inches. And in centimeters, that's 88 to 169. So this one also calls for 2 knitting needle sizes. You will need a US 11, which is an 8 millimeter, and a US 10.5, which is a 6.5 millimeter. Now this project has 6 inches or 15 centimeters of positive ease. You will need to know how to knit, yarn over increase, and you either have your choice between the German short rows or wrap and turns. I personally like German short rows. Let me know, do you have a preference when it comes to short rows? Are you a wrap and turn person, or are you a German short row person, or do you have another type of short rows that you prefer? So this is a top-down circular yoke sweater with simple color work, and it features a double folded collar. All right, let's jump into our next one. We have the Diamond Canvas Sweater designed by City Farmhouse Studios. So this calls for DK weight yarn, and the bust circumference ranges between 38.5 to 70.5 inches. And I did not write the centimeters down, but I will leave it up here for you all. So this calls for a US 5, which is a 3.75 millimeter knitting needle. And you need to know how to knit 2 together, brioche, yarn over, slip stitch, purl, and do an applied I-cord. It is knit bottom up with a square neck and long sleeves. Okay, let's move on to accessories. All right, the first one we have is the Sno Cap Hood designed by Little Quail Handicraft or Handcraft. And it calls for worsted weight yarn. And the finish size is just really one size, but it is customizable, so you can make it longer or bigger, and the pattern does have instructions for that. Now it does call for a US 6, which is a 4.0 millimeter knitting needle. And you need to know how to knit, yarn forward, slip 1, yarn over, that's 1 stitch, back loop only, working with the yarn in front, brioche, center double decrease, brioche, center double increase. So you will need to know how to do brioche. I personally have never done brioche before. It seems kind of challenging to me, but let me know, have you done brioche? Okay, so it is knit in brioche from end to end, and it is reversible. Okay, our next one is the half and half triangle scarf designed by Pat Gordon Smith. So this one calls for light fingering weight yarn. If you're someone that likes to use light fingering weight yarn or really thin yarn, like not like myself, because I really don't, but I want to get into it. But yeah, let me know, do you like using the thinner yarns, the lace, the lightweight fingering, the fingering weight yarns? Let me know. But in terms of the finished size, the long edge is 45 inches, and that's 114 centimeters. You will need a US 3, which is a 3.25 millimeter knitting needle. And you will need to know how to knit 2 together, knit 3 together, make 1, and purl. So those stitches aren't too difficult. I think they're pretty manageable. It has a 2-stitch intarsia border worked in garter stitch. And I've never done intarsia before, so this would definitely be something new for me. But that creates a frame around the main stocking stitch striped area. So you have that stocking stitch striped area in the middle, and then you have the intarsia border. So that has a really interesting construction. Next up, we have the aMare Hooded Cowl designed by Onete. It calls for 2 strands of sport weight yarn, and it comes in one size. You will need a US 8 or a 5.0 millimeter knitting needle, and you need to know how to knit, purl, knit 2 together, and Kitchener stitch. And that's another stitch that I've never done before. I've never done a Kitchener stitch. So let me know, have you done the Kitchener stitch? Now, I like that it is easy to adjust the pattern to your own preferences. You can make it a little bit longer or a little bit wider by just adding a few inches or a few centimeters to the length. I really like that because I have big hair, and sometimes I wonder if the cowls will fit over my hair. So I really like that this one is customizable. Let's talk about patterns for the home, or shall I say pattern for the home, because I've got one for you today. It is the Cozy Mug Set designed by M. Testerman of L'Etoile de Noix Knits. So this one calls for 2 strands of fingering weight yarn or 1 strand of Aran, which is really interesting to me. 2 strands of fingering meaning equaling 1 strand of Aran. I thought you would need thicker yarns to make an Aran weight, but I don't know. I'm not a designer. But anyway, the finished length is 10 inches or 25.5 centimeters in length. And then in width, it's 3.75 inches or 9.5 centimeters. So you will need a US 6 or a 4.0 millimeter knitting needle. And the skills you'll need include long tail cast on, knit, slip stitch, knit front and back, yarn over, and slip knit. And so I feel like this project is a great way to use up leftover sock yarn or mini skeins. So if you have some mini skeins or you have some scraps left over, this is a really good project for you. Okay, let's talk about what I am wearing. I am wearing the Onete scarf designed by Fairmount Fibers, and it is a free pattern. And this was actually a sample knit by Michaela of Michaela Crafts, and I'll leave her channel linked below. But she did a sample knit in my colorway latte on my fingering base. So this is QueensYarnBoutique yarn, and yeah, definitely check it out. I will leave the pattern linked below. Okay, so let me know, what are your favorite patterns? Which ones did you really enjoy today? There's a lot of really good ones. Also, let me know what patterns you found during January. Share with the class, and let me know if you would like to make any of these patterns, or perhaps you've already made some patterns. So definitely let me know. And also, I knit and I crochet, and I have also uploaded a crochet video that has a roundup of all the new and free patterns that I found in January. So if you're interested in that, let's check out a little preview. If you've always wanted to create cables while using crochet, this pattern has it, so definitely check it out. So if you don't mind seaming garments together, this pattern is definitely for you. If you've always wanted to create the Sophie scarf but you're not a knitter, this project is really good for you because it has been converted to crochet. All right, so let me know what you worked on while watching, or did you just chill? I would love to know. I absolutely love reading y'all's comments, so definitely leave me a comment. Also, feel free to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when I post videos. And yeah, I just appreciate you all so much. Thanks for watching, and until next time, bye.